Oh, did I go live?
Yeah, you're live.
But not on YouTube yet.
Yeah. But like, we're going to come live on YouTube and then be sitting not saying anything for a while though, yeah? Like, here we come. There you go. That's us.
Oh, there
We're
we
live.
are. Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Turn the volume off.
Hi, everyone.
Okay. Hey, I want to welcome everybody. We have a surprise guest with us today, Jade. We actually had another surprise guest who had to back out at the last minute, and Jade is the trooper and managed to pop in and help us out. So welcome, everybody. We've got Jackie, Ishi, Aquarius Owl, Justin, Whispers Healing with My Ancestors, Asha Light Eagle, Kristen Louise. I think that's it just now. Did I say Jackie? Yeah. So, let me adjust these windows here. Yeah, it's better.
Justin just said, "What's the hold up? I want to speak to a manager." Aye, all right, Karen, you calm down.
I'm going to start off with a little bit of show and tell. You know, I always do. I have a few little holiday things. My neighbor gifted me this little Christmas diorama with a unicorn in it, which I thought was really cute.
Nice.
I kind of prefer this to a nativity. I guess that makes me some kind of a heathen, but I'd rather look at the unicorn in the forest than the Holy Family in a barn. Then she also gave me this lovely little battery-powered candle that kind of flickers. Because I like candles. For me, this is like the season of light, and I love twinkly light kind of effects. But I'm terrified of burning my building down if I light candles in here, because it's so cluttered. And so this is kind of the perfect alternative. Then I also have, I think I might have showed this last month, one of my little trees. I have a collection of small trees instead of a regular Christmas tree. And this one phases through about 6 different colors of light. And I'm slowly waiting on the colors to change. I want it to go to purple. Come on, purple.
Is purple your favorite color?
It's gonna come next after green, blue, purple. There we go. And
we had a funny story of those battery-operated candles.
Yeah.
last Christmas. Someone gifted me some tall. They look like votives. Same thing. And my husband and my father-in-law decided that they weren't providing enough light, so he started actually digging.
Oh no! Trying to light them.
The wick out.
God.
And punched a hole right through it. I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh,
those are not real.
Yeah. I don't think this one doesn't have a wick. It just has a little light bulb. Oh, you can't see it. There's a little light bulb in the top. I also ordered from Etsy this beautiful bell. Look at this brass bell. I don't know if you can see it. It's like shaped like a tree on the handle.
Yep.
And it's really a substantial size. I think they said 8 inches. It looks more like 10, but I mean, this is like a school bell. Listen. Very nice, I think. So I'm tickled with that. And I have another smaller one in silver that's on the way. It has a different tree shape. And then my usual jingle bells. And all kinds of sweets I've got. This is my favorite cookie for this time of year. I didn't bake any myself, but this is what they look like.
Right.
We call them Russian tea cakes, but here from Amazon, it's David's butter pecan meltaways. So they have pecans instead of walnuts, but it's the same sort of thing. They're really good. So I'm stocked up with a whole tin of those. And I found some online recipes on how to make your own fudge, because I love fudge and it's really expensive at the candy shops. And apparently it's really easy to make. So I
Yeah, but
found,
it's also very easy to turn into toffee if you're not careful. So just watch what you're doing with it.
well, I don't have a stovetop. They showed how to do this in a microwave, and it's only like 2 ingredients. So I thought, well, we'll see how that goes. It's just sweet condensed milk and semi-sweet chocolate chips, and you just kind of melt them until they stir, and then when you fold them all together, you pour them into a pan and refrigerate it, and then cut it up. And I don't know. I know my mom used to make it on the stove, and I don't remember her recipe. I'm sure it was more involved in that than that, but I don't know. All these people on YouTube seem to claim that it's really good and really easy, so I'm going to give it a shot.
Give it a shot.
I also had a couple of new decks that I wanted to show you. I don't know if you all saw. Have you guys ever seen these dinky little air decks? I thought this
Not
was the
until I saw it in your channel, no.
cutest thing. I mean, I really love it. I'd never heard of them before, though. What's an air deck? So I looked it up, and apparently they're called air decks because, when you travel on planes, they've got those fold down tables in front of your seat, and there's not very much space on it, I suppose, if you want to play solitaire or something. So I guess they created these decks as like travel decks that makes it easier to fit, a decent sized spread on a small tray like that. So anyway, they had about 6 different back variations, and I got a kind of a nice standard looking one. And I was surprised when I got it. They were really cheap. It says premium waterproof, and I didn't know what that meant. And it turns out they're plastic. And I'm not really big on plastic decks, but these are kind of nice. And plastic's usually pretty slippery, but these do have a kind of a texture to them, almost like a linen stock would have. It doesn't. It's not linen, but it's it's not slick. It's textured, even though they're still slippery because they're plastic. But they're really nice, and I've been really getting into my my playing card reading with these skinny little cards. They have everything you'd need on them. The courts only have like a crown image on them instead of the picture. Oh, my camera's not picking it up. There we go. So, but it's got all I need. And then I also ordered, I've actually ordered a bunch of other playing card decks with different images on them, fully illustrated, but they probably aren't going to show up until after the new year. But I found this online. I don't know if you've ever seen or heard of this. It's called the Intuition Book and Card Pack.
No, I haven't seen that.
I think it came out in early 2000s. It's by a Craig Hamilton Parker. It says, "Unlock your psychic potential." And I don't know what the deal is with this guy. He's got a lot of things on YouTube. I don't know if he's a psychic or a psychologist or what. But something I saw online, and it got me thinking about, you know what Rorschach prints are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I thought, gee, I wonder if anybody's ever done like a Rorschach card deck, and I couldn't find one. And then I found this. And this is all black and white Rorschach images. And the cards, there's no numbering, there's no labeling, it's just these images. In fact, the deck doesn't even say how many cards there are. I had to count them, and there are 32. And these are That's the back design. It's kind of a slick, sort of glossy kind of cardstock. It's not my favorite cardstock. They're clumping a little bit. I don't know if either of you have any remedies for what to do to cards so that they glide a little bit better.
Fanning powder.
What?
Or fanning powder.
Where do you get fanning powder?
You can buy it. You can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it in magic shops or any sort of card shops. And failing that, you could also try using cornstarch. You only need just a tiny little bit.
Would talcum powder work, or that's not at all the same similar kind of thing?
I wouldn't recommend talcum powder just because of the whole cancer thing. But cornstarch is good.
I thought cornstarch was really sticky. No?
So
maybe when it's wet.
Oh, maybe when it's wet, but you're literally applying just a tiny bit. What you can do is put all the cards in a little Ziploc bag.
Yeah.
Put we're talking a teaspoon of powder in. You can shake them around for a bit so that the cards get all coated front and back, and then just grab a paper towel or something and just wipe them off.
Oh.
And you'll find it makes a huge difference.
Okay, maybe I'll give that a try then. So it might be nice if these were in color instead of black and white, but I thought, I read images in my cards when I read, and I just thought this might help me develop my intuition more. There's this syndrome, I don't even know if that's the right word, called pareidolia. Do you know what that is? It's the psychological term, I guess, pareidolia. It's you're all familiar with it. It's like when you see images where there aren't really images there, like if you look at the clouds and you say, oh, that's a duck floating by, or if you look at, folds in fabric and you see faces, or knotwork in woodwork, that kind of thing. That's called pareidolia.
Is that not something we all do, Robin? Is that not something that all humans do, or is this like a more like an actual intense version of it? Where, do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I'm asking?
I think we all do it. I think it's a tendency that human beings have of trying to make sense out of something where there is no sense. That's kind of putting it a crude way, but for me, I think it's very much related to intuiting symbols in the tarot cards. They're a little bit more literal because you see actions and images and relationships of characters on the cards and stuff, but symbolically we sort of try to make sense of something where it's not really literally spelled out. So to me it seems kind of similar to pareidolia. But anyway, I just got this deck and I thought, oh, it might be fun to see if this helps me develop my intuition a little bit more, and to kind of use it like an oracle deck and see, what I happen to see. You can do I never do reversals, but you can do reversals with this because you look at it a different direction and you get a different image. And there really is I don't even know, because I think this is a used copy. I don't even know if I'm looking at them right way up, because there's no references to the images specifically in the guidebook. There are in the back of the book some references to symbolic images that you might see, like it's kind of like a dream and dictionary of symbols. Like, if you interpret dreams, things you might like, if you see ears, eyes, faces, hands, hair, heads, king, judge, lovers, teeth, all these different things, it'll tell you a psychological meaning for it and a mystical meaning for it. So it's kind of interesting, I think. Anyway,
how would you use them? Would you use them on their own, or would you pair them with a tarot deck?
I'd probably use them on their own, like its own sort of oracle deck. I don't know. I haven't gotten to that stage yet where I use more than one deck together at a time. I think most people use a second deck as a clarifier for tarot. And I feel like if I need a clarifier, I'll just pull an additional tarot card. So I'm not quite sure. Do either of you guys use more than one deck at a time? And what does that do for you that that the tarot doesn't do?
For me personally, I'd usually only use one deck at a time. If I'm using two different decks, it's decks that serve different purposes. So like a playing card and then followed up by a tarot reading. I'm not a clarifier guy. To me, the cards usually have in them what I need, and I don't know if there's a part of me that thinks if I need a clarifier, then I'd maybe just need to work with the cards that are on the table a bit more, or I don't know. I don't really use clarifiers, if I'm honest.
I've used oracle cards. Most of the time I would just use one deck at a time, and it's usually tarot for me. Sometimes I'll use an oracle card to provide maybe the theme, like before I lay out the tarot cards. If I don't have a specific question, right, just general message for the day, I will lay out an oracle card as sort of the theme or the general message, and then lay out the tarot cards as, actually in that case, the tarot cards are kind of the clarifiers or the more specifics related to the message of the oracle card.
We have somebody new in the chat I haven't seen before, someone named Tinker Mouse. So
Hi, Tinker Mouse.
Welcome, Tinker Mouse. And Jackie's here. Do I start to say? I might be repeating myself. Did I welcome Jackie 3 times now? I'm not sure.
Kristen has asked, can Jade tell us when she started reading tarot and her relationship to them? So I think I've posted a link there. I don't know if you can see it. I've put a comment with a link to Jade's channel. But if you can't see it in the chat, Kristen, I've got you in Facebook. I can instant messenger you a link to Jade's channel, but it's Tarot Your Truth if you want to look it up.
I'm scrolling way back and I can't find it, but maybe.
Yeah, it should be right kind of near the bottom, so it should. But yeah, Tarot Your Truth. So if you look for it, I'm sure you'll find Jade.
Oh, wait a minute. Would I see it on StreamYard or just on YouTube?
Should be both, but if it's not coming through, then it's not coming through.
I don't see it, but
I
there
don't
seems
have
to be an issue posting links on YouTube just now, so there does. So a lot of the time it's not working. But yeah, Jade. So when did you start reading, and what's your relationship to tarot, I guess?
I first picked up a tarot deck maybe about 20 years ago. And I think I worked with it for about a month. It was just like the little Nova Tarot. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's very, very small. But I don't recommend it as a first deck. I worked with it for about a month and I just could not figure out. I just couldn't figure anything out. And then it sat in a drawer for about 10 years or so, maybe a little bit longer, moved 2 homes with me. And then I went through what I would call sort of a tower year. I went through a really extremely difficult time where there's, kind of a bit of PTSD related to it in 2018. And I don't even know why. I started looking on YouTube for tarot, just to kind of I don't know. It was one of those times when, I don't know if you guys have experienced this, where you're just, you've had such a horrible time that you can't really think about anything else. Like the things that maybe gave you joy before didn't, don't anymore. You're just kind of staring at the wall sort of thing. That's where I was. And I came across Owl Moon's YouTube channel, and she was doing a walkthrough of the Tarot de la Nuit tarot deck, and I hit buy on Amazon before the walkthrough was even over, and that just kind of started it. So that was not that long ago. That was in beginning of 2018, and it's been a daily thing for me. So it really, I think tarot really helped me through that sort of really dark time in my life, helped me work through some inner child stuff, some shadow work stuff, and now I can't sort of see my life without it. Hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, definitely. That's really nice to hear.
I just made Jackie a moderator. I don't know. There I am being presumptuous again. I don't know if it looks like I've only got 2 moderators in the chat. Chris, you, and Jen Science to Soul Tarot, who's just popped in, and hello, Jen. So I don't know if there's anybody in there that can post that link for her channel, Tarot
I've
Your
tried
Truth.
twice, Robin, and it's not happening. Kristen's found it. She's found it on YouTube, which is why I was trying to post it. But yeah, it just doesn't seem to be liking links just now.
I could try, but I feel like I'm juggling 3 things here, so I don't know what's going to happen if I try to do this. But you guys talk for a minute, and I'll see if I can find it and do it. We
can also put it in the link down below later if you want. That might be a little bit easier for you, Robin.
I just had to open a 3rd window, so maybe I can find it here.
When did you start, Chris?
So I started reading cards. I was only like 8 or 9, I think.
Wow.
So we're going back about 23, 24 years. My mum used to go and get her cards read. She worked in a pub, and they used to do the tarot nights, and she would get her cards read, and she'd come home and tell us about it. And I don't know, I always really liked the idea. I was always pure fascinated with it. So one time she'd say, "Oh, let's get a tarot deck." So we went to Waterstones, which is a bookshop over here, and I got my first tarot deck. And yeah, I've been kind of reading on and off since then.
That's cool.
Okay, I just popped it in, and it looks like it went in under my tag.
Yeah,
but
I can see it. That's it, worked.
Yep.
Well done, Robin.
Okay.
Seems to be the channel owner can post it. We discovered this on Ellen Shane's live, so we did.
Well, when you put it in, did you put it in on StreamYard or on the YouTube page?
YouTube, because I can't type into StreamYard.
Okay. That's weird. I don't know why that happened, but okay. That's weird. It went in twice. Oh, well. I'm losing myself in the.
So, Jade, did you get any new decks this week?
Here we are.
No, I've been good. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I did. I got a deck in last week, but it was one that I pre-ordered in June.
Right. Okay.
The Taroteca Studios, the Elemental Wisdom deck. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Do you know? Yeah, I have. It's really, really nice. Isn't it? It's the one that's got really beautiful.
It's really nice. It's beautiful. Yeah. I have to do a little bit of research on it though, because it's very interesting to me that there's one whole, so everybody is body beautiful, right? So there's no diversity in terms of
Body shape.
body shapes or sizes. The suit of wands is the suit of wands. The entire suit is people of color, and I think it's, I could be totally wrong, but it's like a tribal, like it's sort of based on African tribal. Sorry, words are not working.
I think we know what you mean, though. Yeah, it's
Imagery,
based on-
right?
yeah,
Yeah, and I just don't, what I don't know about it is, you know, whether, have they done any sort of research? Is it like, is it respectful? Is it proper? Like that kind of, that's just something that I wouldn't have even thought to think about, you know, a couple of years ago, but now
Right.
it is important. I still have the, you know, for me, I still have the thing where I like to be surprised by tarot decks. So when I'm buying something, I very rarely will look through the entire deck because I
Yeah.
actually like seeing it for the first time in person.
Yeah.
Sometimes that doesn't work out so well, but I'm hoping this one is okay.
Cool.
Well, maybe we launch into today's topic. And this came about actually because I have the ancient Italian tarot. I've had it for quite a while. And I think Nancy Rose, who was supposed to be our guest today, I think she did a side-by-side walkthrough of the Sopraffino from Lo Scarabeo and the Sopraffino from Il Meneghello. And when I was watching her video, I thought, oh, that's weird. It's so close to my ancient Italian, but not quite. And so, like, I watched it again and went through it a card at a time to see the differences. And if you've looked on my channel, I've since done a side-by-side walkthrough comparing the two and the differences. But I was so taken by the deck that I ended up ordering a copy. And I decided not to go with the Il Meneghello one because I'm kind of fussy about my card stock. And I don't really like artsy or, you know, matte card stocks. I like them a bit more slick and handleable, comfortable to handle for me. And I think I might even have talked to Mendy about it because she can talk cardstock with me a little bit better. And she knows what I like or what works for me and what doesn't. So she said, yeah, go with the Lo Scarabeo one. So I did. And when it showed up, I was so delighted with it and very excited about it that I just had to share my joy with someone. So I had a copy sent to Chris. Thus, that's why we're here today, to kind of look at and discuss this deck. Now, at the time when I had these first impressions and I was going through, and a lot of them I guess I've covered in my walkthrough, and now I can't remember any of the points that I particularly wanted to make, but I thought maybe we could just kind of, all three of us have this deck, although I think Jade has the Il Meneghello one.
Yeah, I have the
So
Il Meneghello one.
we could go through them, and I don't know. I didn't give Jade enough time to put hers in order because she's probably been using it, so this may not work. But mine I haven't used yet. It's still in the same order out of the box. I thought maybe we could go through them a card at a time and just discuss our impressions of it. First off, I'm really thrilled with the box. I love these hard boxes. This is a lift-off top. I don't know if the Meneghello one's different, but it's almost like wood. It's so stiff, and I love the little noise. Oh, yours is a two-part. I see.
Two parts.
Yeah. But I love the little cap top that makes a little funny noise. It's funny how that can give me such joy, that just that little noise of the box. But and I like that there's like a little green negative space in there between the top and bottom portion of the box, so that it doesn't fit like really snug. And And when I took the cards out of the box, I was thrilled with the size of them. They're a different size than a usual standard tarot card. Now, it looked to me in Nancy's walkthrough that the Il Meneghello and the Lo Scarabeo were the same size, but I'm not quite sure. But this one, you can see the difference in a regular tarot. It's about, I'd say, half an inch shorter and half an inch narrower. So they're really kind of delicate little cards, and the line work and artwork on them is really delicate too, particularly in comparison to the ancient Italian, which are larger, regular size cards, and also the engraving art is a little bit less fine. Well, it probably is not going to show up on my screen, but in my walkthrough, oops.
It's very, very close. Just the colors are slightly different.
Yeah, the colors are different. And I'm wondering, actually, now that I'm looking at them side by side, the detail is probably the same, but since one card is larger than the other,
yeah,
I suspect it's just blown up. So the line, the distance between lines is a little bit more farther apart, because it's so finely detailed. And I notice how different this is. I mean, of course, this is from the Italian school of tarot, as opposed to the French Marseille, how different they are, because the French Marseille were mostly from wood blocks, and these are from engravings. So, I mean, there's a very different look to the detailing in them. And I love the kind of buttery feel of these, but...
So the Lo Scarabeo Sopraffino that you have, the cardstock, is it coated?
It is. It's laminated, but
okay.
It's not glossy. It's that kind of semi-gloss sheen, that a lot of typical cards have. It's nice and slippery,
Okay.
I don't know, Chris, did you have any particular impressions? Because I know you had started working with some Marseille, and I didn't know actually whether you had any Italian decks yet or not to compare the two different schools of tarot.
No, this is my first Italian Marseille deck. I do have a couple of Italian decks, but they're not Marseilles. So yeah, no, this is my first one.
Did you find that the detailing attractive or off-putting? Like, some people prefer the cruder wood block of the French Marseille to the sharpness of the Italian.
No, I do quite like it. I like it's got more depth to it, I think. Like the images on this than, say, like one of your standard Marseilles, just because, like, I mean literal depth, like as in it's more of a 3D effect, you know what I mean? So no, I do quite like it. Don't get me wrong, I love normal Marseilles.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mendy and Justin. But
they're just different, right?
Yeah.
But I actually do have a walkthrough. I'm pretty sure it's posted, where I did a side by side of the Sopraffino with the Claude Bordel TDM.
Okay.
So if you're curious about that, just to see I found it interesting to see the wood stenciling versus the knot side by side.
Well, and I found when I went through this, I think the Sopraffino versus the ancient Italian, when it comes to the pips, I think the floral arrangements are different. It's a little bit more sparse on the Sopraffino, I think, a little less flowery than it was on the ancient Italian. Or maybe now I'm mixing them wrong way around, but I think that's the way it was. I do like the backs of these. I mean, the ancient Italian backs are a little bit kind of rococo. They're really sort of over the top.
Yeah.
Whereas these have this really nice plain little wallpaper pattern.
I think that's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
a
the
little
backs are really nice.
little gray or blue flower or something. I thought it was funny on these though. I mean, I guess they're reversible, but if you look at the patterns on the back, they're actually not properly lined up. So the flower row along the bottom is kind of chopped in half, so they're not reversible. But I also noticed the first flower in the third line on the back has two spots on it instead of 7 little dots. I mean, I'm really getting
Yeah.
finicky on the details. You probably can't see it with my camera, but
Yeah, no, we can see it. Yeah.
oh, there it is. Yeah. And so, I mean, that kind of spoils the reversal potential, I suppose.
Mine are okay. I didn't
Yeah.
see any.
Yeah. That's the difference between the El Manigello and the Lo Scarabeo, I guess. But actually, it came up with one of the pip cards I got to. Now, I can't remember which one it is, but it's one where the floral arrangement would lead me to believe that perhaps the card is upside down. And oh, here. Look at the 3 of Pentacles. Now, the way the flowers are blossoming at the bottom of this card, that would lead me to believe, oh, that should actually be the top of the card, like so. And I don't know, compared to other decks, if that's the case or not. But if I'm going by that little giveaway on the back of the card, no, that's the right direction. So I don't know if that's a flaw in production or which way that card is meant to be. I think in my other Marseille decks, I believe that the third pentacle is always at the top rather
Here's
than at the
mine.
bottom. That's the proper way up on yours, or you don't know? Actually, yours is symmetrical, so you don't know either.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
That's
the
how
other thing,
I would look at it, though.
where are the numbers on yours? Because yeah, that's the problem with the 3 too. It's like, well, the 3 is reversible too. It reads the same way no matter which way you turn it. And the position of the Roman numerals on these cards looks like it's not totally consistent. It's about halfway to a little bit lower down the card, which would leave that third disc at the bottom. So I don't know quite what to make of that.
But then in the 10 of Cups, Robin, there's the 10 of Cups. So it's like, I think it chops and changes the position of the Roman numerals.
Well, if we compare, Robin, the 3 of Cups.
Oh, yeah. 10 of Cups.
Right? So you can tell which way is up just because the cups are there. This tells me that the single one is up at the top.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah, and actually, if I turn the 3 of Pentacles over next to the 3 of Cups, the Roman numerals line up better. So that's an oddity, and they kind of messed up in the printing, I guess. I'm not sure how important that is. I mean, I guess it is important. If you don't use reversals, it's very important, I suppose. For me, I don't read these numerically. I read them the way the pictures read to me. So for me, a flower blooming at the top of a card would be a very different message than flowers drooping at the bottom of the card. The other thing is, originally when I first got the ancient Italian, I was kind of put off by the depiction of the fool and the magician because they're so beautiful in the RWS deck. And in this deck, and even in a lot of the Marseille decks, they're kind of seedy looking. I think they're even more seedy looking in this deck than they are in the French Marseille versions. They look to me like totally untrustworthy figures.
But that's the point, though, I think, Robin. Like the magician, and I think it's the same in the they're not the same, or at least I don't see them the same. But if you read some of the history, like this guy, the magician, he is not the guy that can do everything, right? Like he's a trickster.
Yeah.
Right. So there's, you have to. I don't think we can just apply their RWS meanings to the majors. And for this guy, the fool, like Il Mato is crazy person, right? Like he's not the fool, the court jester that can tell the king, anything. He's the guy he's the town drunk, right? I don't know. That's how I see them. I don't know what you guys.
Yeah, I just found those two cards kind of unsympathetic. I find a lot of the other cards in the deck quite beautiful characters or figures, but those two I find off-putting. I think it's interesting that the deck starts out with those two that kind of like, I'm repulsed by or I want to back away from. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of the deck, I think, oh my God, some of these women are gorgeous, and the kings are the Pope is just beautiful. This very almost Santa Claus or Father Christmas-like figure, and just a very delicate. The Hermit too. It's just like Moses or something. Just beautiful depictions. But those first two, I think, ooh, I wouldn't want to run into either of them in a dark alley,
Yeah, the fool definitely does look to me like that's the impression I get when I look at him. He looks like a Glasgow man who's just come out of the pub, and you wouldn't want to mess with him. That's exactly what this guy looks like.
Yeah,
he looks like he would bop you. What he would give you. You ever heard of a Glasgow kiss?
No.
A Glasgow kiss is a headbutt.
Oh.
Okay.
But he looks as though he's given a few Glasgow kisses in his time.
I also noticed in this particular deck, compared to the ancient Italian, to make him even just that much touch more repulsive, they put a big angry red zit on the side of his nose.
Who's this? Sorry, Robin.
On the fool.
Oh yeah, I see it.
You see, there's a big red zit or wart or something on the side of his nose, which isn't on the ancient Italian deck. So it's kind of like they went, just that one step further to make him, not only is he unbathed and unshaven, but he's got this angry red zit on his face.
Yeah.
Oh, I know something I wanted to ask you, and I've been going off on a tangent now. But did either of you happen to see Jilly's live on Saturday?
Yeah.
With Kelly, and they had a little tarot spread, and I can't remember this. I don't know if you remember the significance of the first card in the spread. Do you happen to remember what the position was for that card or the question?
A small change you can make that will have a big effect further down the line.
Yeah, because when I got that, I pulled the Empress, and I thought, well, I don't know how to read that. What kind of small change can I make from the Empress? And I've been thinking about it since yesterday and looking at it, and I don't know much about astrology, but I'm assuming from the way the Empress is positioned that she relates to Virgo. And if that's the case, I'm a Virgo. So it may have something to do with my Virgo nature in terms of the small change I need to make, which helps me a little better than anyway, I might have read that card, because I don't generally think of Virgo tendencies when I look at the Empress. I think of her as sort of like the mother figure or Mother Earth figure or something. I don't think of her as, you know, a perfectionist or, you know, fastidious about details. You know, those kind of Virgo tendencies, obsessive over stuff. No,
Right. Okay.
but I don't know. I just wondered whether either of you knew if she corresponded to Virgo, or maybe I'm misreading that.
I can have a look and see if I wouldn't have thought so, but let's see.
I don't know anything about astrology, so
She's ruled by Venus. I don't know if she corresponds to Virgo, but let me see. I'll tell you if there's a card that does correspond to Virgo.
I can't remember if Virgo is Venus or Mercury.
The Hermit. The
Huh?
Hermit is ruled by Virgo.
Oh, okay. Then I'm wrong.
In the same way that Strength is ruled by Leo, the Hermit is ruled by Virgo, and the Empress is ruled by Venus. According to this, anyway.
Virgo makes much more sense when it comes to me as the Hermit. But all right, I just led us down the garden path on this Empress thing, and it's like it didn't pan out anyway. I still don't know what to make of what
she
they
could
need
be
to
telling
change.
you to do some self-care. Right?
Self-care.
Self-care, small change you can make. Add some more self-care to your life.
Okay. You want to wander through these and see if there's anything that jumps out at you as we go through the majors. I'm not going to do every card, but if there's anything that particularly you notice. I'm actually on the very first card, the Fool. I had never noticed before that he's got one shoe on and one shoe off. So that was interesting to me and makes sense. I'm sort of relieved that he doesn't have a big old tear in his pants with his butt hanging out like a lot of the Marseille decks do.
Yeah. I'm looking at the La Papessa, and her veil only comes to like just where her head is, or just below where her neck is.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually see behind her, which is unusual for the High Priestess card or the Popist card. So you can actually see the kind of or see a bit of the scene behind her. I don't know if that's standard of. I'm trying to think about TDMs.
You've got those little tassels dangling there too. It almost looks like they're rising. Somebody is rising the curtain behind her or something.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, similar to the Empress.
Yeah.
She's got her sort of curtain rising behind her too, and it looks like two. I don't know if those are swords or wands holding up the corners of the curtain behind her.
Yeah.
I was taken by the Emperor and how youthful he looked, because in the other deck, he's bearded, and here he looks like a younger man.
Yeah.
In the Pope.
Foot posture's funny.
Sorry,
I'm still in the Emperor, Robin. That his foot posture. If you look at how his feet are, look at his left foot.
Yeah, that's odd. Well, one's on a pillow, I guess, and the other's on the floor. But yeah.
Well, oh right, no, sorry, I'm looking at it wrong. Ignore me. Never mind. Carry on.
What were you thinking, or what were you saying?
I thought it was pointing off in a funny direction, but it's not.
Oh.
Yeah, Il Papa.
That one, I think it's interesting, the little figure in the bottom right-hand corner that's staring
Yes.
out at us.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, I was thinking that as well.
Hey, anybody who's in the chat room who has a copy of this deck and wants to follow along and put in your thoughts. Cool. The Lovers. I don't know Italian. Gliamonti. Who's Italian in there? Justin. Is Amonti lover or lovers?
Italian.
Gli amanti, the lovers,
Is it? That's plural? Yeah.
plural.
Okay. Oh, and this one has a Cupid with the blindfold over its eyes, which would be significant to Masha. I can't remember whether that would correspond to type 1 or type 2. Was it type 1, Marseille?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if Cupid's flying in from the right towards the left, but pointing the arrow to the right, blindfolded, that's all indicative of type 1. So that's
Supposedly, well, actually, this deck is from 1830, so it's later. But the Italian decks came historically before the French decks, didn't they?
Yep.
So I'm wondering if the French picked up that influence and then translated it to their cards in the type 1, and then later, for whatever reason, switched it to type 2.
So I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but there was a deck. So Masha has done a really good video on type 1 and type 2. And in it, she compares, it's kind of like an original. It's not type 1 or type 2. It's like what came before them. Now, is it the Dodal?
I think it's the Dodal.
Yeah. So there's the Dodal, and then she has a type 1 and a type 2, and you can see that certain intricacies have been taken from the Dodal into type 1 and type 2 and stuff. So yeah, I think that there was something that predated type 1 and type 2, if you want to call it that, in terms of French Marseille.
I just want to jump in for a second and welcome a couple people that I see came in late. Simon's here. Welcome, Simon. And somebody new I don't know, I can't begin to pronounce because it's in a different alphabet that I don't know. But it says Wild Elf Ninja Witch, and then the first word I can't make out. It's like,
it looks like Emerald, but you can let us know how if that's right or wrong.
Yeah, I don't want to butcher that, but welcome. I haven't seen you before. So we have her and Tinker Mouse are newbies. Oh, we also have Light of Subconscious Mind. I don't think I know this person either. So welcome, everybody. Let's look at the Chariot. Now there we've got the charioteer kind of looking off to one side. And again, we've got the scallop on the canopy, which I think is type 1 of the Marseille.
Yeah.
That's one of the key things. It's curious. Look at this lamb's head poking out between the two horses. Wait, let me put Jade up here. I'll pin her on full screen because she's holding up the cards. Can I do that? How do I do that?
So what you see is down the bottom. Just
sorry, yeah, I'm going to the wrong place here. Oh, solo layout. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, see, I see between the horses. Well, your coloring is a little different, slightly different on the El Meneghello.
Oh, is that right?
Just a little bit. I think it's paler than ours. Ours, the reds are less rosé and more of almost a burgundy, I think.
Okay.
But that there's like a lamb's head figure or something that I suppose is on the front of the chariot, but it's kind of like coming all the way out to between the two horses. It's not like on the surface of the chariot. It kind of juts into the foreground. This is kind of curious. I
Well,
also
I think
see.
there was, I think on some chariots, if you look at how they're made, there usually is like a bar that goes from the chariot itself out, right? And then the horses are
like on a
tethered.
regular wagon, like how the horses
Yeah,
are hitched.
yeah.
That makes sense. I never see that in any card. So, also, it looks like there's a warrior engraved on the front of the chariot, and two figures holding something above
Yeah.
its head. I don't know if it's a halo or what it is. I have to get out a magnifying glass because it's really small, but it's an interesting detail.
Interesting.
Next is Justice, who has a kind of a bemused look on her face, very almost like a Mona Lisa smile. Oh, and look, she's got one might say a third eye on her collar, but I don't know what that signifies. It's like her eyes look closed, but that third eye is at the speech, the throat chakra, which is interesting.
I never noticed that before.
There's a lot of details in these cards. In fact, I'm wearing the wrong glasses. Let me switch to better magnification here. The Hermit. The Hermit I thought was interesting because he's got, instead of the traditional lantern, he's got basically a candle or incense holder. It's just a little flame on a kind of a holder instead of an enclosed lantern.
Yeah, it looks as though he's burning his pinky.
Yeah. Look at that delicate little pinky, teacup pinky hanging out there in the air. I love this Hermit.
I imagine that's how you drink tea, Robin.
I don't actually, but I would love to sit down and have a tea with this old guy. Simon in his interviews always asks what two figures you'd like to have dinner with or tea with. Well, this guy's fictitious, but I'd like to have tea with this Hermit.
Did you guys hear some of the very older decks, instead of the Hermit, it's Father Time?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they have the hourglass instead of the lantern. I have a couple decks like that actually. I think maybe the ancient is it the Renaissance deck or something? I don't know. I can't remember.
I know my Minchiade deck has that Father Time.
That's interesting. So,
Yeah.
do you know what how it's intended to be interpreted? Father Time.
I'm assuming that the hourglass and the lamp are very similar in terms of like measuring life and a lifespan, and the life goes out when the energy of the fire goes out, kind of thing. But I don't know. I don't know why they changed it. Why they changed it from time to light.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like the Hermit and Father Time would be two different kettles of fish, wouldn't they?
And the lantern seems so much more significant in terms of illumination. The different meanings of the word illumination.
Mm.
Yeah, I haven't done enough research on that yet. So
look at the Wheel of Fortune, number 10. Now,
sneaky fox.
You got the wheel there. We see a handle on one side. We don't see whoever may or may not be turning the handle of the wheel. Unfortunately, they're off frame. But I think it's interesting. On this one, we've only got two positions. We got a fox scrambling up one side of the wheel, or a wolf. I think it's a fox. And then we've got, I don't know who that is on the top. It's an angel with, it looks like thunderbolts in her hand, kind of like Jupiter in the Besançon deck. But
yeah, it looks like that might be Zeus or Jupiter, whatever you want to call them.
And then you've got this pot of fire on the side as well. Well, I guess that's on the post holding up the wheel. It's not actually on the wheel. But I think it's sort of interesting that we don't have an array of characters going around the wheel. We've just got those two.
Hmm. And the one that's on top, like they're sitting on a platform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he's, I guess, doing a pretty good job balancing.
Yeah, you kind of wonder if that wheel's spinning, where that platform's going to go. If they're going to, just remain suspended there or go toppling off the wheel.
Yeah.
Right, he's going to go toppling, because I think the message of the Wheel of Fortune is like it comes to everyone, whether you're the king of the gods or whether you're some wee brown fox scrambling to get up that wheel.
Yeah.
Everyone has their shot at the top and everyone has their shot at the bottom.
Yeah, in a lot of other decks I've seen, it seems like everybody is scrambling on the wheel. On this one, they seem pretty content in their position up there. Maybe they shouldn't be so content.
Well, I think there's a story, isn't there? There's like there was once a king who, he thought he was untouchable, but then somehow it hit him that this is the I think it's like the goddess Fortuna. She turns that wheel, and right now he's got his time at the top of the wheel, like with good fortune, but that everyone spends their time at the bottom as well.
Yeah, I think the saying that goes along with this is, I reign. If there was one here, so I reign, I have reigned, I have no kingdom, and I will reign.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're right. It's a big one big cycle.
Are those related to the words in the RWS or on the wheel? Was it Rota, Ator, Arot, Taro? And there's 4 different words. I don't know if those are actual words derived from something, or whether they're
I remember
correspond or not.
I listening to Dusty White at some point, his one of his podcasts. I think he called it like I think he said it spells Torah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's meant to be the Torah.
The sacred.
Yeah. But I could be totally off.
If we move on to Force, or the next card, this woman was a little bit brutal with that lion.
Yeah, look at the look on her face.
Yeah. I think...
Determined.
I think actually in the ancient Italian one, I think she's even more maniacal looking, but here she looks... see if I can find her. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I don't know if you can see. Let me pin this. She looks manic in this card. Look at her face.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Her eyes are...
And this one, she just looks like she's saying, "Oh, for goodness sake." Do you know what I mean? Do you ever see those memes where it's like a female in a famous painting, and it's like when someone says such and such, and it's the picture of this painting, it's just like bruh, you know, like that thing that people used to mean brother, like BRUH or bruh.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? That's what that
Yeah.
puts me in mind of.
This
This
is
one-
like me trying to give my dog some medicine.
I was just gonna say it looks like a woman trying to get her cat to swallow that pill, you know. Oh, look at how she's got her feet positioned too. That's like one foot right down on his back, so he can't move, and he's clawing at her skirt, and the other foot is between the two front legs. So she's really got quite a grip on him with her hands and her legs. She definitely seems determined to do whatever it is she's trying to do.
Yeah.
On the hanged man, if you flip him over, he's got quite an expression on his face. I don't quite like total terror or panic or something. It's
It looks like
really
he's just been flashed.
what?
It looks like he's just been flashed.
And his jacket's quite decorative too. He doesn't look like a poor man or anything, you know.
Yeah.
Can you show me your card again, Robin?
Yeah.
Did they clean yours up?
What's that?
Okay, they cleaned all the stains up. See how this one has like
Oh
all
yeah.
this coffee or wine or whatever.
Yeah, I kind of like that about your deck. I like the stains.
Yeah.
What do you make? Can you make out what those are at the base of the hangman structure on either side at the base of each pole? It looks like there's maybe it's just wood, but it looks
I think it's just a tree.
okay. The one on the left almost looks like a chicken drumstick or something, and the one on the right, I don't know. I guess they're just sticks coming out of the wood, but it's almost suggestive of something that I should be paying attention to. This is one of the most beautiful deaths that I've ever seen, and the most anatomically correct, I think, illustration of the skeleton.
It is pretty good, isn't it?
And a couple of the bones are a little bit red, but all the bones are really. And look at all the stuff, that palette with the paintbrush and the paints at the base of them.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that representation of an artist down there. These are all like tools of the trade or something.
Well, what I love about this is number one, not the heads and the body parts.
Yeah.
In here, it's just things, right?
Yeah, material
making
goods. It's like
Yeah.
all their prized possessions, crowns, the tools they work with. One looks like a saw or something.
Yeah. It's quite good. I really like that as well. Because it's like I can get two messages from it. One, death gives no shits what shiny things you've got. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
He's going to come to you either way. And also, the things that you do have, you can't take them with you. Do you know what I mean? Use what you've got and appreciate it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's really good. I really like that.
Yeah, that's a good strong message for this card. You can't take it with you. It's I always latch on to these little taglines and old sayings and idioms and things, you know. They become little words of wisdom over time, and I relate to them when I look at the cards, and those things jump out at me like little truths, you know.
Yeah. What do we think of temperance?
Well, I think was it you that mentioned the other day something about the liquid defying gravity?
Yeah, I mentioned it because I've on one of my decks, I think it might be the Arcana tarot playing cards. It
Yeah.
doesn't. It's just pouring like we would pour, but in this one, it's defying gravity again,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I like. And a temperance card.
You know, it's funny. I never hear anybody talking about that actually because it's so unnatural. Although this figure is a winged figure, I suppose they could have special powers, but when else could a normal human being make liquid defy gravity? It's like I never even read that into the card. I just think it's transferring from one vessel to another. I never think about it in terms of how the liquid is being transferred or how it's acting physically.
Yeah. The one thing that is different between this and like the RWS or the typical illustrations that you see with temperance is that even when it's a winged figure, they usually have 1 foot on the ground and 1 foot in water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I can't tell if there is actually water. It looks lightly blue, but
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Actually, in this one, it looks like her left foot is standing on a stone, a little blue stone, and then there's
Okay,
like
yeah.
green water below the right foot, which is about an inch lower. But it's so subtle.
Yeah.
I'm not sure one would pick up on that. Initially, I also thought, oh, look, she's wearing one sleeve, but I'm reading it wrong. It's just that her arm is in shadow. The two vessels look different size or different design too, unless it's just the distance. But it looks like one is a narrower vessel. So going from a narrower vessel to a wider vessel, maybe some message in there. What do you make of the devil?
I love this devil.
yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, I like his clenched fist. It seems like some sort of like, I'll get you yet, or there's like this sort of defiance or a sense of purpose or something.
Well, you don't also, I mean, comparing, not that we should compare, but comparing to the RWS where the two figures are sort of tied to the post under the devil. Like in this case, this guy is like he's clinging to the devil. Right? Yeah. And here this guy, he's being stood on by the devil. I don't know, you get a bit of a different feel.
Yeah, I almost feel like the figures underneath have more control over the devil than he has of them in a way. Well, the one on the one under his hip there, because he's like really latched on, and actually the serpent too is like all entangling him.
Yeah.
Right? Like you get the feel that in this case, the devil is having a hard time controlling all those creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you almost see the panic in his eyes over that. Yeah. Sorry, Chris.
No, you're fine. But it does make me think because like I don't believe that there is a devil. Like how Christianity tends to view the devil, as this bad person who makes us do all the evil things. I think that the evil is in humanity, and humanity has created this big bad figure to, almost, it's like a shift of responsibility. It's like a shift of blame, So the fact that we're seeing the devil kind of in amongst these demons, it's interesting, and that's what it puts me in mind. And I don't really quite know where I'm going with that thought, but that's what it brings to mind for me.
Yeah, I see that.
He's got the Medusa serpents on his head too, and the what is on top looks less like horns and almost more like ears, goat's ears or something. I don't know. One looks a little more like a horn, the other looks a little more like an ear to me. It's hard to make out.
I
Yeah.
didn't even notice the serpents in the head before. That's interesting.
Yeah, I hadn't before now either. That's why I said I kind of wanted to do a deep dive with this with other people, because there's so many details that you just don't even look for normally.
Yeah.
I also really like the tower.
It's a beautiful tower. I love the coloring in it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I often wonder about the zigzag of the lightning. We always see that angular zigzag of lightning in the tower cards. And if you look at lightning, it doesn't really go that way. So this is kind of a stylization, but I mean, this is typical, but
Yeah. I think in religious symbolism, lightning is supposed to be symbolic of God fertilizing the earth.
Oh, really?
As I understand it, yeah, I think so.
Okay.
It's like, and I could be wrong, but I think this card was at one point yeah, La Maison Dieu, the
Yep.
House of God. So yeah, again, just a random thought, and I don't know where I'm going with it, but yeah, like the lightning feels like divine intervention. Do you know what I mean? For me.
you know, another thing, what I just said before about the zigzag of the lightning goes in with the meaning or messaging of the tower. It's sort of like a change in direction. You know, it's like the tower kind of takes your stability and shakes it off kilter so that you don't quite know where you stand. And with the lightning bolt, it's like going left, then it's going right, then it's going left, then it's going right. It keeps changing direction, which I think is kind of a curious notion about the tower. Like you're confronted with a force in the way you approach things, or your direction. Also, you notice at the top of the tower, I think it may be a cannon, but there's a little wheel up there. And I
Yeah.
thought, oh, that for me is almost a reference to the Wheel of Fortune, too, on the top of the tower.
I just noticed that. I also just noticed that here, it looks
Yeah.
like a little face.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Yeah.
somebody there standing.
Peeking out the window. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It looks like here. It looks like someone's kind of crawling to try and get out. Let me see if I can hold it right up. You see that?
Yeah.
It's kind of blurry. Yeah, it's so hard.
Yeah.
One thing I find interesting about this card is that it's only the top that's messed up, right? The base of it with the plaque is actually still pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a bit of a different thing because it's not everything that's unstable.
Well, I always view that as the king being dethroned or having his crown knocked off, because actually in the RWS there is a crown falling. So it's sort of like the fall of the crown. And the way that the top of the tower is depicted with those little angular column-like structures, it's almost like the crown of the architectural tower that's being toppled or knocked off. So for me, it follows through with that allegory of the king's crown being knocked off. Because you don't really need to completely dethrone the crown if you just knock his crown off, you know. That's enough to, you know, cut him down to size. It's a beautiful star card.
Both are being poured into the lake.
Yeah.
Normally,
Let me ask you, Jade, on your card, since you have the Il Meneghello, I assume it's the same, but I noticed this also different from the ancient Italian. In this one, she's got some modesty hair from her hairdo covering her breasts slightly. Not on yours?
Nope.
Yes, I don't know. You won't be able to see on mine. Let me close up here.
The hair is just short enough. Can you? It's not focusing, but I don't know if you can see
there are strands of hair there. They don't really hide anything, but I thought it was kind of peculiar that it was almost like a modest covering.
Yeah, that's interesting. No, on mine it doesn't.
I love the little owl in the tree. And the stars are, my God, they're like fireworks or comets or, I mean, they're not peaceful, hopeful stars. It's like a lot of action going on up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
I
the
do like this.
cattails too. The moon card. Now, in the moon card, we often have like a wild dog and a domestic dog, and in this case, we've got two domestic dogs because they both got collars on. And I always found it odd. I find it odd in this one too that the lobster's bright red because you only get a red lobster when they're cooked.
Well, but look, it looks like it's on a plate.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Yeah, so it's very different from our usual message of this crayfish crawling out of the watery depths. It's like this more like dinner time or something, and it's quite a fancy dinner for two pet dogs. If that
The angle's interesting as well.
Yeah.
We're seeing it from more the side of one of the towers.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The moon's almost winking. Yeah, is that the tower? Well, we've got two towers there, actually.
Yeah. So there's one quite near us, and then there's one across the water.
I'm wondering, I don't guess either of those are the previous tower. Or, I mean, if we're going in sequence, it would have been demolished by this card. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too literal.
Yeah, no, I don't think. What were you going to say, Jade?
I don't think it's the same one. The base is different. The
Have a
base in
look.
this
Oh.
the base in this one has like an extension here.
Hmm.
The ground floor extension, whereas in the tower card there's no such thing.
I should apologize to everybody in the chat. We're not paying any attention to them. We're like totally into these cards. And oh, Justin asked, is that hair or shadow? It's hair. It's strands of hair. I mean, I can confer with Chris to see if he reads it that way, but
Yeah, no, it looks like hair to me as well. What was I going to say there? I think in the moon card, correct me if I'm wrong here, right? But do the two towers in the moon card not they're not the same thing, but do they not kind of correlate with the Boaz and Yakin from the High Priestess? Because you know, like the moon is supposed to be what's behind the High Priestess's veil. Like I'm thinking like RWS and like just tarot in general here. I'm not specifically this deck, but so you know how the moon is what's behind the High Priestess's veil. So do the towers that we normally see in the moon, do they correspond to the two pillars, to the Boaz and Yakin, or do we think they're just supposed to symbolize different things?
it could be. I didn't consider that. I do notice now the two towers here corresponding to the two towers in the moon, the RWS moon card, but I never quite made that connection between the moon and the High Priestess, but it's definitely worth thinking about.
What about the sun?
I love that the sun, is it orange on yours? Yes, because I think on the ancient Italian, it's white or yellow. I love that it's a bright, hot orange on this one. And I love that these figures are dancing. I mean, this is almost more like a lover's card to me than a sun card. I mean, there's quite a dance around one another. When I think about the dance and the way that they're possibly about to go in a circle, it brings to mind how we orbit around the sun. Maybe again, I'm reading too much in.
I like the just the sun's rays. You know, you're really getting that feeling of heat and energy off of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The garden's beautiful. Do you know what I mean? The sun's energizing the garden. It's energizing them. They're happy. They're dancing. Do you know what I mean? You still get that wall, so they're still protected from the shit that they're going to have to deal with and the judgment kind of side of
Yeah.
things. But it's altogether, it's a really kind of happy, warm scene, which is nice.
It's almost pushing away the clouds.
Yeah.
Seems like, yeah.
Sun bursting through the clouds is like quite a revelation there. It's a happy day. Then we go to justice. Gosh, from a happy day to such a dark day. Oh, there's miserable people. And you get the light rays coming down in the background there too, and some are like shielding their eyes, and one's praying, and
I know some of them look like
it's quite
it's like
fearful.
that first working day of the week when your alarm goes off and you're like, no.
Yep.
I almost can't quite make out the I guess the figure at the bottom, I guess he's in a coffin. You know, on the left side you see the covering panel being drawn aside, but I can't.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a face on the bottom right. It's like on the corner of the coffin. It's this weird decorative face, which is very peculiar. And a weird angle on that corner too for a coffin, but it may just be the perspective.
See the guy on the left? Does it look to you as though he's trying to climb back into the coffin and hide from the trumpet?
Yeah, his arm is in the inside, isn't it?
Yeah,
Looks
it's
like-
as if he's trying to scramble and he's looking up, and it's as if he's running away from it. He's trying to get back into that coffin.
Which one are we
Also-
talking about?
The wee chap on the left. See the guy who's kind of
guy-
the
Guy with a
Oh,
white
okay.
beard.
This guy. Yeah.
You know what I find funny? Look right under the trumpet down to the landscape. There's this little man in the background,
Yeah,
who looks fully clothed, like he's just kind of an innocent
Stumbled up there.
bypasser watching the whole thing go
he's like,
down.
what the shit is going on here?
I mean, it looks to me almost like the fool, not the fool from this deck, but the fool from the other deck in his travels, just watching this whole thing.
Are you having to scramble to find these cards like every time, Jed? Because you're doing a great job of hiding the fact that your deck's not in order.
Well, as you guys were talking, I was just kind of separating them out by suit.
Oh.
So I love this world card.
Yeah, it's a beautiful world card. And she's not exactly dancing through the hoop. She's kind of posed in the center of it.
Yeah.
Standing on it. It's like a real cornucopia of fruits and veg and a little bit of everything in there.
Yeah. And it doesn't look as though it's up in the sky. It looks as though it's very much on land,
Yeah.
and the what do you call it, the wreath thing, that's resting on the lion and the other animal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bull.
What do you make of the fire on the top right there under the eagle?
Oh, I'm not sure. That's interesting. It looks as though part of it is burned away, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Under the eagle.
I'm going to have to contemplate that for a bit.
I remember reading something about it, but I can't recall it right now.
Excuse me.
Anyway.
Okay, that's the majors. We could probably go quicker through the minors, but what minor do you have next? Because I might have to rearrange my suits.
I've got wands, cups, swords, pence, but
Okay.
we can change to whatever order you're in if you want.
Well, I've got cups, but we can go with wands.
Okay.
Let's do wands.
Cool.
This is a very green wand, and I think I don't know my trees, but I'm guessing this must be an oak tree because it's got acorns on the branches coming off the trees. I'm not sure
Can I ask
about
you
this.
guys a question?
Yeah.
Because I've heard you, Robin, say wands, and I've heard you, Chris, say
Oh, sorry.
tentacles.
Habit.
Do you care like what system you're in when you call them, or it doesn't matter, you use them interchangeably?
Well, I guess these are really batons or staves, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the
And
Italian.
the same thing for the coins, right? These ones are
Yeah.
coins, not pentacles.
Yeah.
I was just curious as to whether you guys differentiate or
I don't, since I don't really read for other people, nobody else is going to argue
Yeah.
with me about it. And I was sort of raised on RWS, so I just kind of go by that. But, I can use them
you know what you're
interchangeably.
referring to, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
think
I
I
mean,
just chop and change.
I always
don't-
found it curious that that in the playing card deck, these are called clubs, and yet they don't look like clubs in the playing card deck. They look like three-leaved clovers. I often wondered why they never called them clovers, or why they didn't depict them more like actual branches or clubs in the playing card deck. I mean, a lot of times you
differentiate them from the spades, no?
Well, but the spade is, the spade has a point to it, and it's smooth and it's shaped like a spade. Well, a spade, I think, is, it's weird. That's the other thing. Spades are like shovels. You use them to dig with, in which case you'd plant something that might grow into a clover or a club. But we don't get the same thing in the RWS. You get they call them wands or batons, but they have little leaves growing off of them. So they're basically miniature trees or overgrown clubs,
Yeah. I think,
clovers.
and if you think about do you play cards at all, Robin? Like playing cards, like play solitaire or patience or anything?
Solitaire, and if I can ever find another partner, there's a couple other games I'll play, like Crazy Eights or Gin Rummy or something.
Right. I remember I used to play that with my gran. Go Fish.
Go Fish, yeah.
Gin Rummy. But when you're playing games, and particularly some games, think like Snap. Like there's a lot of games where you really need to be able to see at a glance what your card is. So I think I could be totally wrong, and please do correct me if anyone actually knows the answer. But I think it's to make them just really easily distinguishable from each other. I think that's why you've got the spades at a point and the kind of the clubs.
Well, it is interesting in Italian the clubs on playing cards, they're called flowers. Right, not actually batons.
Right, okay.
Or sticks, yeah.
I wonder why in this deck, and in Old Marseille too, as far as I know, why the ace of clubs looks like, a branch of a tree that somebody picked up off the ground, and all the other clubs in the suit look very refined, like they've been manufactured, or they're
well, it's
very
interesting
ornate.
though. That's true only for the numbers. When we get to the quartz, we get back to the big sticks.
Yeah.
I think I've heard somewhere that the significance of the ace of batons, wands, it starts off kind of thinner and gets broader and broader and broader as it goes up, and it, like from an esoteric point of view, the wands is like building up your energy. It's like kind of building up your Kundalini energy and the kind of positive aspects of yourself, your passions, and all that kind of thing. The journey through the wands is to build and build and build on that. And that's why it starts off. So the wand holds the potential of the whole suit, yeah. So it starts off kind of thinner, and then it builds and builds and builds and builds, which contrasts from the swords. Now, I'm not sure if in this deck, if I'm going to make a liar of myself. Not really. So with the swords, it's the opposite. The swords is you destroying the ego. It's basically you dealing with your shadow self, and where the ones you're building up, the swords you're kind of almost reducing. Do you know what I mean? So the swords start off broader and then get thinner and thinner and thinner as it goes up, and it ends in a point, which is your kind of crowning glory at the end when you've finally destroyed your ego in the 10. So I always thought that was really interesting. Don't know if that particularly answers your question, but well, it doesn't answer your question, Robin, sorry, but yeah, I always like that about the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Swords.
Yeah, that is interesting.
I'm wondering the coloring about this one. You've got green wood, which is like fresh wood, but this branch looks like it's been broken off from something, and it's got red in the center of it. The red and green aspect, I'm not quite sure what to make of that, but it's interesting that they chose those colors. I don't quite know why.
It looks like an offering. It looks like somebody's offering you something that's literally just been taken off the tree, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, see whoever's that hand is, it looks like they've literally just broken the branch off of the tree and they're offering it to you.
Yeah.
To me.
Also, there is this element of time or death in it. If I look at the leaves, we've got green, yellow, red, and brown. So, I mean, there's a variation in the dying of the leaves. Now, if we look at the two, these are interesting wands because they almost look like, well, they don't. I've seen other ones that have sharp points on them, like almost like fountain pens. These aren't quite like that, but they have an interesting kind of scoop on them and sort of sharp ends, almost like fountain pens.
Fountain chisel tip marker.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I always looked at that as being hollow, like just showing where the
It looks
kind of
that way
showing
in
the
these
center.
cards because
Yeah.
of the black. The black looks like shadow.
Yeah.
I think we can sort of jump ahead to the courts unless going through you see any particular numbered one you want to.
I'm just looking at the different.
Well, yeah, actually, look, the floral pattern between the 2 and the 3 looks the same, except for the top and bottom. On the sides, it's the same. And on the 4 and 5, it's the same, except for the top and bottom. That's interesting.
In the 9 and 10, there's no floral pattern.
The 6 and 7's the same, but it's like in each case, as the number goes up, we lose something. We gain another baton, but we lose some of the flowers, which is interesting to me. The 8 and 9, well, the 8. Oh, the 8 is different. The 8 is flowers. No, I guess it's the same. You got flowers and then 9, no flowers. Oh, but and then 10. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious what you think, what you make of the position of the batons in the courts. I always found it curious that the king of batons has his down, like between his legs, but it's like the club end is down. He seems in a way a very passive king, or he's like holding back his authority or whatever. I don't know.
Or he's so confident that he doesn't need to hold it up.
Yeah. Also, I noticed in the you see in my walkthrough of the ancient Italian that structure with the coin on it, and in this deck, I don't know about yours, there's like a stamp, almost like a rubber stamp on that white disc.
Yep.
In our version, the rings actually lay atop his fingers that are clutching that ring.
Yep.
So that was apparently applied after the printing. I don't know why. It says Lombardia, so it apparently designates the time and location of the printer or something. But also he's got one foot raised slightly off the floor. It's on the base of that little stand. And I believe in the Italian deck, it's not even, that whole thing isn't even there. I don't know if I can find it. Probably can't find it quickly enough. Yeah, oh, this is really curious. Yeah, I got to show you this.
It's weird that it has a little yellow face in the middle.
Yellow face in the middle of, oh yes, yeah.
Of the base.
Yeah. I wanted to show you, look at the difference between, this is the ancient Italian. Now he's sitting on something with a drape over it. Oh, I can't get these lined up right. And they're both sitting on something like that. But look at the way the foot is raised on the Sopraffino. It's resting on that structure, and the structure's been completely removed on the ancient Italian. Also, if you look at the hands, the finger position is slightly, oh geez, I can't. This is so hard to do backwards. The finger position here is grasping that ring. You see it, the fingers curled around the edge of that ring. And in this one, they're just resting on the top of that surface. I mean, it's probably an inconsequential detail, but I was fascinated by it when I went through. Also, this page, I think there was a difference in, he's got a little cross on his pouch, and I believe it's a star or a different symbol on the one on the ancient Italian. But I think it's curious that the page in this deck is not raising his club, but resting on. These are also rather large clubs. Somebody playing the drums?
Sorry, I think that is my very heavy-footed
Upstairs
child
neighbor?
upstairs. Yeah.
Oh, I love the horses. Look at the expression on the horses. It's almost smiling. What a beautiful profile. The queen's very sweet. Okay, next suit. I'm at the swords. If it's easy for you to grab your swords.
Yeah.
Now here, oh yeah, I found some curious stuff here on the swords too. Well, I think the foliage on the Ace of Swords is a little different from deck to deck. I like that the crown, the king is like claiming the crown of your of the opposition. It's sort of like you've won in battle when you've captured the crown, kind of. But I notice a lot of these swords are bound by little ribbons. And if you look at the Three of Swords, this is another case where I wonder if the sword is upside down. Which direction? Oh, yeah. See, now you're holding it that way too. One might normally hold the sword like that, or the hilt with the blade up. But if you look at the way that that cloth is that's holding it in place, that little ribbon, gravity would tell you that it should actually be, yeah, that way. It's pulling down on the ribbon. So I'm not sure what way to read that card. Another thing is, if you look at this, this is the Three of Swords. But if you look at the way the swords are made here with the blades, there's actually 5 swords here. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
It's the same thing on the two.
Yeah, it's the same throughout all of the swords.
Yeah. I just thought I hadn't noticed that in other decks. I don't know if that's true or if they follow all the way through in one piece.
I think it's pretty common. I'm not sure why they do it, but it used to confuse the heck out of me.
Yeah, because if you go counting them, you'll be confused. So it's lucky we've got the Roman numerals on there. And the same thing with the 5. Well, actually, in the 5, that sword is hanging down. So that one looks right. So, you know, there's two instances in this deck of the number 3 card where I wasn't sure about.
Yeah.
I like the way, well, and look at the numbers in the number 7 sword card. You've got the hilt of the sword bound very tightly at the top, but you've also got the blade bound at the bottom. That sword can't move. But the number 5 card, it's only bound at the hilt. The blade at the bottom is free. So that's interesting, the 5 and the 7, I think.
We'll have a look at the 9. It's actually bound in 3 places.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I like the quartz of this suit.
Yeah. I like the youthful characters in this deck. That was different from the ancient Italian too, because most of those are bearded older men.
Yeah.
And in here, there's a lot of clean-shaven younger men. You've got, I mean, this king is like, oh my God, he looks like he's 19 years old or something. The page almost looks older than the king. He's got that worried look for a page. This Queen of Swords is very different than we're used to, too, isn't she?
She reminds me of the queen in the 1JJ Swiss.
She's very friendly, very sweet. She doesn't look, you know, like she doesn't have what I think Chris refers to as that resting bitch face.
Yeah.
She seems very sweet. And I love the little face on the side of the throne. It looks less like a sculpted face and more like maybe one of her children peeking around the corner of her chair.
Well, this one always tells me, you know, she's like, she's the queen, she's the ruler, she's going to listen to you. And the hand over the heart tells me, you know, she's gonna hear you out and have the empathy because she's been there. Like she's had the experience, right? She's gone through hard times and good times, and so it's not going to be, unlike with the king, it's not going to be just the fact spam, right?
Yeah. I like the idea of the hand over the heart, although to me, it looks less in the right position and more like a clutching her pearls pose. I love the face on the horse on the knight. And it's got quite a hairdo, too.
The king just looks very pompous.
I wonder why all these kings always have these broad-billed hats with crowns on them. I wonder what the history behind that is. Because when you think of a king, you usually think of a crown. You don't think of. Now I know a lot of times they refer to that structure as a lemniscate on the top of the head, but it just always struck me as odd. It's almost like a sombrero or something. It's big, wide-brimmed hat with a crown in the middle of it.
Yeah. Your king, Jade, looks as though he's got a bit of rouge on his cheeks, whereas ours doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A lot of mine do. Like a lot of the faces have the rouge. She does.
Yeah.
The page does.
Okay, that's interesting.
And I think most of the faces do. Yeah.
If you look at Nancy Rose's side-by-side walkthrough, you can check out the details closer than we can show you here. Because the colors really are pretty much the same, but in some, they're slightly lighter in the Meneghello, and in some, they're lighter in the Sopraffino. It goes back and forth. It's not consistent.
Yeah.
We can go to the cups, but I lost my ace of cups. Where did it go?
I think we've got a few people heading off. So bye, Justin, and bye, Asha. Thanks very much for stopping in. It was lovely to see you guys.
Yeah, I'm sorry, folks. We're totally enthralled here. I'm sorry to have ignored you tonight.
Jackie's going strong.
Jackie, you've got the power.
I'm
I can't find
just
my
laughing
cup.
because my husband sent me a text that says, "I'm volunteering you to make a nice seafood pasta for dinner tonight. I bought fresh scallops." So I guess I know what I'm doing after this.
Oh, we're coming up on 2 hours, so we're almost done. But I did want to get through here if we could. But where the hell did my ace of cups go?
I've got one here.
Oh yeah, this
Oh,
is
those
not.
look slightly different, eh? The flowers.
Yeah, I suppose the coloration of it.
Yeah.
Slightly different.
This is not my favorite cup. I mean, you know, the cup I love in the Marseille decks, I think I can't remember which ones it's in, if it's the Besançon. The Ace of Cups has, oh, there it is, has this usually very bulbous look to it, which I love. I love those. It looks almost like it came out of a Jello mold or something. And
Yeah,
I don't
Chloe
really
Burdell has that.
I don't really like these more angular ones that look like little cathedrals or castles on a pedestal. I mean, I like the numbered ones that follow, but I don't know why that initial one is so different from. Why are the aces?
I think it's supposed to bring to mind the church.
The like communion
Grail.
or something, or
Yeah.
Hmm.
I always forget the name for it.
The Holy Grail, or you thinking of the Eucharist?
The Eucharist, yeah. So where they keep that. I read somewhere that's why there's just one of the original Christian symbols that were put in there.
Yeah.
Why do you think that they distinguish the aces so different from the depictions in the rest of the numbers? Any thoughts on that?
I suppose because the aces are supposed to, they're boosted, aren't they? They have the potential of the whole suit. With the ace, it's like you see the potential of what it could be. Do you know what I mean? So it's not just the idea of just having that one. It's like it's almost you're inspired. So if you're having an ace moment, it's almost like, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of an example that I could use. So, like, if we think of the example of like a business, right? So like an Ace of Wands moment, you're to be inspired to, start a new business and see it through to some amazing business that it could be. You're probably seeing someone else's business, or you're probably being inspired by something. So it's like the ace has got to carry the potential of the whole suit. The ace is a glimpse of what it could be. So the aces, to me, would be more ornate, and they would be more kind of emphasized than your kind of standard journey part, if that makes sense.
Well, that would be accomplished just as easily by a larger version of it, I think, rather than totally changing the look of it. I mean, an angular cup versus a curvilinear cup is what we have here, and it's just and the same way with the wands, where you've got this big old club of a tree branch versus a very refined and tooled baton. The sword is less pronounced, except that the other swords are curved, but the ace of swords is straight. But I don't know. I just always find the ace of cups and the ace of wands curiosities, because their depiction is so different from the other numbers.
I think the Ace of Cups is supposed to depict the Holy Grail, isn't it? Like the cup that Jesus supposedly used at the Last Supper to
Okay.
serve out the wine that he said was his blood. So I think that's why that's usually a really kind of decorated, ornate cup.
And
Just gonna grab something. I'll be right back.
I also wonder often why the cups are covered. In this one, the cup is covered on the ace, the page, the knight, and the queen, but not on the king. But that's kind of intrigues me why those are covered or closed,
So
whereas all the others are open cups.
Page. Right.
Oh, actually, the page has the lid of the cup in his hand, but it still looks oddly covered. I don't know. Strange.
Yeah, I don't know if the knight is covered either, Robin. I think it's just a different. It's more of that kind of round cup that you're talking about. I don't know if the top of it's covered.
Maybe.
The queen's is.
Yeah.
You normally get this idea of protection with the queen, so that's what I've always associated that with.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got the king.
King looks a little grumpy. I wanted you to look at the two. I love the fact that the two isn't cups floating in air, that they're like on a table with a tablecloth. It's quite beautiful. And that thing between them almost looks like a candelabra or something.
Jackie says, significator of suit? Question mark. Are do you mean about the aces, Jackie? Like she's saying, maybe the ace is meant to be a kind of significator of the suit, and that's why it's kind of more pronounced, more emphasized.
Yeah.
So we've got the two.
So I just ran and grabbed my Solabusca tarot.
Yeah.
And just for comparison. And the ace in that deck is not the church, right? So this is arguably the oldest tarot deck, if you can call it a tarot deck.
Mm-hmm.
And it is round, right? It's like and it's actually not even a cup. It's just a big bowl.
Yeah.
And the two, right? So those are very similar. Actually, this is probably a better way to see it. The three. So I really think that they were changed to this to appease
the church,
the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, let's go to the last one so we can finish up. This is the Pentacles. And here we've got a queen or an empress, I don't know which, depicted on the ace. And grapes on the arbor there, it looks like, or some kind of berry. And the number 2, there's 2 different figures, a man and it could be a young man and an older man, I'm not sure. And it looks like almost like a belt. Anybody know on the number 4 what the blue and gold ball might reference?
Can't remember.
See when the crown jewels, the queen, she holds a ball type thing, and I don't really know what it is, but could it be something like that? Something to do with that? Yeah,
Maybe.
she's got the scepter and the ball thing.
It usually has a little cross on the top, and this kind of does, although it looks more like a flower than a cross to me. But
yeah,
I just wondered about whether the coloring signified any particular nationality. I know those aren't the colors of the Italian flag or the or Spanish flag. I think they're the like colors of the Brazilian flag.
No, Switzerland. No, isn't Switzerland blue and yellow?
Oh, maybe. Could be.
Is Gumpenberg Swiss?
Oh, maybe it is. So I don't know. Is this a Swiss deck or is it an Italian one?
Well, it's supposed to be an Italian deck, but like Gumpenberg is not an Italian name, so.
It says Sopraffino. It says Milano 1830, but then there's also Lombardy. So I don't know what those all signify.
Lombardia is another city in Italy as well. So I think that's just the tax. I think that was just the tax stamp.
Oh. Let's look at the courts in this one. Actually, the knight looks, he's got a turban on. Looks very Turkish. And an interesting modeled pattern on the horse, the pink horse.
Yours is pink?
Yeah.
Mine's brown.
Oh.
Yeah, I would say mine's is a tan color.
Well, my lighting is crap in here, so maybe it is tan. In this light, it looks pink to me. But I noticed when I did my walkthrough, I called some colors green, that in different light, they look blue. So it's, you know, they're very subtle differences. Oh, this king's got a little face at his throat.
Base of his throat. Oh, on the little collar.
Yeah.
Yeah, the colors on yours look a little bit different.
Yeah, I think yours are brighter.
Looks green there. Looks blue under my light. The king's blouse or top or whatever looks blue here to me.
Jackie's anyway, it's orange. You know,
orange.
It's hard to distinguish where his trousers end and his boots begin.
Yeah. I think he's wearing tights. I don't know. Looks pink to me again. It's almost like the page. I couldn't tell if the page was bare-legged with with socks because of those bands around the knees. But it looks like there's a wrinkle on one leg, so I guess they're tights.
I think they're tights, yeah.
Anyway, thank you for indulging me, guys. I really, I might be the only one that really enjoyed this, but I really like looking at these close up. And I'm sorry, Chris, we didn't get to readings this session, but we will next time.
Yeah. Don't apologize to me, Robin. I don't mind.
I want to thank. Look at Jackie. Oh my God, Jackie, you're a saint. She's the only one lingering here, I think.
We've still got 11 people.
No? Oh, okay.
So thank you very much to everyone who's still here. We appreciate everyone
Yes.
equally, those that comment and those that just like to watch.
We do. I could scroll back now and look for questions and comments, but we'd be here another half an hour. So I apologize to everybody, and we'll try and do better by you next time. But yeah, I had a lot of ground I wanted to go through, and I'm so glad I got to share it with you guys. And Jade, I appreciate you helping out at the last minute. I mean, I just jumped on you and grabbed 2 hours out of your life to help when you weren't expecting to do this, and your poor family is probably starving by now, so I should let you go make that pasta. Huh?
Yeah, I better go feed them for sure.
So
it's a lot of fun. Thanks for asking. It was a welcome distraction from work.
I hope, guys, in the chat we might have turned you onto this deck, and maybe some of you will go look for it. It's the Sopraffino. I mean, the Los Scarabeo version's not that expensive. I think it's in the U.S. is about 32 or 35, which isn't bad at all. And the ancient Italian is like 20 something.
Not even
22 or 20. Yeah. So and I don't know about the El Meneghello. That's probably more. It's probably more like 50 or 60. Well, you're in Canada, right?
Yeah.
Where are you? Yeah.
I'm in Canada. I think it's probably around 35 or 40 US. So
oh, okay.
I don't think it's that much more, but you will pay shipping, right, from Italy. So unless you can find a supplier.
So it depends a little bit on cardstock. Oh, Chris, one last thing I wanted to check with you, which I can't.
Number?
Yeah, the number. I was really curious about that. These decks come with a little, this won't apply to you, Jade, because you've got the Meneghello, but they come with a little card number thing. And now I had Chris sent to his through UK Amazon. I can't read it. What number is it? 1850?
1850. Oh,
wow. So yours is even further down than mine's 2668 out of 29.99. But I just thought, oh my God, if these are all over the world at different Amazons filling orders, and they're only just under 3,000 in the edition, how do they divvy them up? You know, do they take, okay, the next 500's going to the UK, and this 1,000 is going to the US? I just found it curious as to where our numbers were and where they ended up. And I ordered mine before I ordered yours, so I thought, oh well, I'll get the lower number. But they probably have been on shelves for a while. But anyway, I was just curious about that.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody out there in TV land, we're going to let you go, and I want to say one or two last words to my friends here after we sign off. So see you all in the new year, and everybody have a happy holiday. We'll see you, I think it's first week in January. That's our usual thing, first Monday. See you guys.
Right, have a great Christmas, everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a great holiday. Bye.